Hello, hello. I'm testing the microphone. Just a quick test, and then we'll start the show. But I was noticing that there's some like a buzz, a bzzz noise. Leaving a comment if you hear a buzzing noise when you turn up the volume. And so let's see here. How do I test it? I'm just going to test it on my phone here. Leave me a comment if you do hear a buzz, like a hum. Maybe not a buzz, but a hum. Let's see, where is that? Where is that? Looking for the show here. Where is that show? Here we go. Okay. I don't know why it says that. That's the weirdest thing. Huh? Okay. Let's see here. I don't hear it. Oh, okay, I don't hear it this time. Great. Okay, well, with that said, now did this just stop? No, it is live. Okay, good. Great, great, great. Okay, so let me go back and I'll come right back, okay, in a few minutes. I just wanted to test one more thing. All right, well, hello again, everybody. Welcome back to the Trig Podcast, Joy Goes TV on this beautiful Friday, September 20th, 2024. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to this episode, talking today about never giving up, no matter what you're going through in life. We're not making beats today, although that's my other life. I love making beats. I love talking about God, Jesus, but also about overcoming challenges and how to never give up. Let me a comment. Let me know how you are, where you're watching from. We're trying to get this stream in front of more people. Make sure that you share, like, comment on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitch, wherever you may be. Try to help us out. So, one of my dreams has always been to stream and to have a audience here, engagement, have an impact. I used to wear a hat. I used to have all kinds of stuff in this room. I used to even do some streams outside in my other studio. I've done vlogs and all kinds of stuff. But I've always struggled with, obviously, engagement. And now, as the live streaming world has changed so much, where now it's all controversy and red pill stuff or anger, and just not me. And even as I've come into my own of who I really am, I really love to laugh. And I remember I used to have a soundboard here, like an iPad with some buttons. Or even I had another thing, what was that called? A Z something? X keys, that's what it was called. Yes, yes, yes. And it had all these sounds. I really love that. But yeah, I just got discouraged because, as I said, engagement was low, and now it's basically zero. And now the algorithm doesn't help me at all. So it doesn't put this program in front of hardly anybody. And really, my content isn't that exciting. Like I said, I'm not controversial. I'm not yelling or screaming at people. I don't have all those kinds of things. I'm not political. So you have my lane, which is inspirational and kind and encouragement, and a man who loves his wife and 3 adult children who succeeded in the things that really matter. That just isn't very popular today. And so I kind of feel stuck. Now, I do enjoy making beats. That's something I love to stream about. But really, I would say my number one thing is to be able to just talk and deliver a message of hope and encouragement. be able to be very clear and truth oriented, to be kind, to be filled with grace, to not be someone who's stuck. Also, to talk openly about mental health challenges that I've been through and still go through at times, fear, worry, and my immigrant story. There are things that upset me. I think what's happening politically with all of the immigrant rhetoric, whether it's Haitians eating cats or whether it's bad hombres or just all the horror that I've seen on TV and online with racism, and then having so many evangelicals that support Trump and all that he says. But yeah, of course I deal with fear of talking about politics because of people's opinions, and so I sometimes shy away from that, even though I have very strong opinions about that. And so I end up kind of being stuck in the middle sometimes. Maybe like most of us, right? I'm not an extremist. And because extremism has become the way, the thing, those of us, maybe the majority of us who are not extremists, who are more open and compassionate and kind, and we have opinions, but I'm not going to yell at anybody because you're a Democrat or Republican. It's ironic. I didn't even used to think, and I still don't think about those things much, politics or Democrat or red or blue. And that's been a very current thing here in the U.S. Our country didn't used to be this way until the last 10 years. And yeah, of course, I do think that it started with one person and the rhetoric, and then both sides. And then, yeah, of course, you do have all of the sexual stuff that has it become worse? Is that true? Is that just what we hear on TV? Have things really gotten that bad in the day-to-day life? I don't know. I don't think so. And you have so many topics where people get so worked up against or worked up about, and it's no longer a life or a relationship of love. Now it's all fake, because behind the scenes you're hating your neighbor because he or she is from a different tradition or a different country or a different political leaning, and you have so much hate, and all along we are all hurting and needing each other. Loneliness is through the roof, anxiety, fear. Obviously there are always economic concerns and political concerns and all of this stuff with Hamas and Israel. These are real issues in Ukraine and Russia. I have my coffee, by the way, here. Goso coffee in the morning, even though it's 2 p.m. or 1 p.m. But I enjoy my coffee. And the things that I the things that I like talking about are none of those things. I don't like talking about politics or parties or any of that. I'm not talking about parties. I'm a creative. I'm a feeler. I'm an empath. I am a very intelligent man who loves theology, who loves the Bible, who loves the church, who loves Jesus, who loves people, who has a family that loves God and a beautiful wife who I adore and 3 amazing young adult kids. Man, none of those things matter anymore to people. And yet, that's exactly what matters. But as I said, it's just, unless you're on TikTok doing all kinds of silliness, life has passed us by, young and old. And it's sad, right? Because these messages that many of us have are not being heard. And so that's why I do podcasting, not just me, but I'm also now beginning to, with fear and trembling, because I'm so busy with work and life, I'm doing a podcast at church that is, we just did our first episode, and we have some more episodes coming up. Probably once a month. I mean, I wish I could do it once a week, but it's just too much. I have so much going on. I need to cut back on some things and adjust, because I do believe that the podcast is very important, because it's conversations. It's talking about where we're at and what we all really want. We all want love, peace, community. That's something that I lack, and sometimes I don't want community, because I feel, in my case, as a 3 and as a achiever, I feel like I'm not succeeding. I'm not beautiful, handsome, tall. I mean, I'm tall, I guess, but whatever, all the I'm nots. And instead of building a community around it, then you have people saying, "Oh, don't feel that way." I don't mind feeling things. I don't mind being real. I love it because that's what heals us. When I went through all my stomach issues, unemployment, and losing my beautiful dog, and mom and dad Baker, and my uncle and my mommy got sick recently, and Rochelle's got a couple of things here and there. And when David, our son, left for college, and our daughter's obviously growing up and just getting older, being at midlife, all these things that are real, no one talks about because it's not violent and all these things. It's not funny and crazy and promiscuous and delusional. It's not Red Pill. It's not Fresh and Fit. It's not Andrew Tate. It's not political stuff. It's not Jordan Peterson. And now I would say Jordan Peterson, even though there's so much craziness, but I love the way that he is. He's a 5, most likely. My father-in-law was a 5. Rest in peace, my beautiful dad Baker. I love intelligent men who love the Bible. At least he seems to love the Bible. I don't know if he's a Christian or just a cultural Christian or an online Christian. But I love that. I'm not saying that I'm like him. His IQ is through the roof. But I enjoy thinking and talking. I have a friend. I'm also all over the place, which I don't mind. That's just how my creative mind is. You know, I'm more Kanye than I am engineer. And so, but I make sense to myself at least. But my friend Robbie, shout out to Robbie, I love talking to him because he also likes to dabble in theology and the why of life. He's a 1. So he's a very black and white, right or wrong, up and down. And so when we struggle, we both really struggle because it's like, wait a minute, what's going on? And so he talks to me about obedience all the time. I talk to him about joy all the time. I talk to him about grace and spiritual things. He talks to me about obedience. And I love that because I need to be more obedient and disciplined. And he needs to be more maybe open-minded and mysterious. I bring mystery and others bring concrete thinking, which we need each other. And I think if I was to name this podcast for the 10th, 100th time, I would call it We Need Each Other. I'm not saying I want to be with people. I have a party tonight I don't want to go to. I probably won't go to. Literally, I already canceled it on my phone. I already blocked some numbers because I don't want to know that I'm disappointing my friends because I don't feel like I have a lot great stuff to share. Yeah, I feel like it's just the same old me, and I'm not driving a Ferrari, and I haven't lost 25 pounds and gained muscle, and I'm a millionaire and live on a beach house. Those are all things that I gauge myself against, and nobody else is. Everybody just loves me and you as we are, not as we should be. And yet that sense of shame and worthlessness is so deep, especially, I'm a big Enneagram guy, especially for us 3s or heart types. For the thinking types, it's definitely fear and anxiety. And then for the body types, it's anger, frustration. And so I wish I could talk about Enneagram stuff all day long. I love that. And because I think it colors so much of who we are. I was listening to Jordan Peterson. He's saying that personality is second in terms of determining people's outcomes, second to basically your past. So if you want to know what your husband or your wife or your kids or your friends or your boss are going to be like, just look at how they've been. That's the number one. What is that? What's that word? It not determines, but forecast, I guess. That's the word. It's the number one determinant or forecaster of future outcomes is past outcomes. I've always been this way, and you have always been this way. Can we change and adapt? Of course, but it's very small changes, very incremental, very small, and yet significant changes. And then personality is the second thing that determines your outcomes. So if you're a thinking type or a body type or a feeler or all of the above, we're all 3, all 9 types, we're all mind, body, and soul, then you're going to probably continue to be that way till you die, till the day you are gone and are with Jesus. I love talking about those things because, as I said, they're good predictors. I guess maybe that was what I was looking for. I forget all kinds of stuff, getting older. But the idea of Me Too is such a wonderful thing as far as not the Me Too of the early 2000s, but I'm talking about saying to other people, you know what, me too. I was talking to a friend. He was saying, yeah, I forget stuff all the time. And I thought, me too. We're the same age. it happens, right? I had another friend a few months ago. Shout out to my dear brother, Ed. We were talking. We're both musicians, same age, similar paths and lives and childhoods. And he was saying, most of the time, I don't want to leave my house. I just want to stay home and be depressed all day. I'm like, me too. Even though everywhere he goes, people know him. And you could say in some small ways, people know who I am and value who I am. And I wish I have so many friends, including my beautiful wife, who are just not this way. They're not empaths. They're not feelers. They're not artistic types. And that's a thing, I guess, that I've always had a hard time admitting. Yesterday I took a test, Enneagram, and it came out as a 4, which is the artist, individualist. And I'm a 3 with a huge 4, or maybe I'm a 4 with a huge 3, but I think I'm a 3 at the end of the day. But the point is that I've always had a hard time. That's why I think I'm a 3, hiding the fact that I'm an artist and that I have my mood swings and I go up and down and I don't always make a lot of money and I'm always wanting to be so special and so unique. I hate doing popular songs that everybody listens to and everybody wants me to do. That's so 4. But I have this huge 3 in me, which is always wanting more. And in many ways, I was forced to be a 3 because of growing up without my parents and being thrown into this beautiful country at age 10, 11 on my own, deep end of the pool, and just, hey, kid, you better succeed, else you're going back and you're going to die in a war. And so instead I died here, but I succeeded without my parents. And so that killed my soul and identity. And I didn't know what a man was. I mean, I had my father. I'm not saying that I didn't have him. It's just I didn't have him in my home, or I wasn't in his house since age 12, really, till never. I never went back home from age 11. And that was a huge loss. Thankfully, I had my grandma who became my mother figure, but I didn't have any male guidance. My father did everything he could. Before phones and all that, he would write me letters. I still have them in a bag. I should maybe bust him out one of these days. And then he died at 57. He died when I was 30 or something like that. So he died so young. I wish I had him. I haven't had him for 25 years, 30 years. And what a loss that's been to not have that man who, first of all, I didn't have in my youth and young adulthood, and then I didn't have him later in life. My beautiful wife lost her father 2 years ago, lost her mother about that time. The whole midlife thing definitely has hit us hard. The midlife, not crisis as in, oh, who am I, but more, there's 4 paintings by Thomas McCain. He wrote a book. Well, no, he didn't write. Yeah, he wrote the book. Well, 2 people. There's this man I forget his name too, wrote a book called The Happiness Curve. And in that book, this author, he alludes to 4 paintings by another artist, amazing artist, talking about the 4 stages of life. And the third one is, it's midlife. And it's this man looking up to heaven, still strong, still able, but looking up at demons. And that's how it's felt these last few years. But thankfully, it's a lot better, way better, even though there's still some things here that linger and I still wish for and long for. But by the grace of God, things have improved tremendously in the last 2-3 years for both my beautiful wife and I and our kids. I mean, they're just doing what they're doing. They're in their 20s. And what's my point? All of what I'm saying is so normal. I bet if I had a room full of people, or if I was to do a talk on this at church or at school or on the bus or anywhere, people would say, yeah, me too. And we would be healed, because what I can bring alongside of that is also love and kindness and bringing perspective and peace, and not just, oh, here's what we're doing and here's what we're not doing and here's what, all that stuff. And I'm just texting my friend. And so all that stuff is what I wish I could do. And so I always feel like I can't be myself in most places. And it's really weird, how even though as ministers and pastors, even though we are people that are supposed to be men and women, excuse me, and even though we have such honesty in our hearts as ministers, it's very hard to find those safe places. But it really shouldn't be, because, as I said, as I always said, hold on, let me. And sorry, I'm texting my friend, and I'm about to cry because he's asking me all the real questions. And that's my point, we have each other. We have all these tools and phones and so much available to us, and yet we don't use these tools because we hate it, and because we don't. Well, in some ways we do hate the technology, but most of all I don't even like using that word. I don't like feeling alone or not successful or not myself, and that's always hard. And I long for honesty, and maybe this is where you have to just be very selective and start saying, you know what, I don't really like you, and what am I thinking? None of us like to feel these thoughts, but yet those are normal. And so all that stuff, wishing I could just be myself and I could just fall apart. I fall apart. There's a song, I Fall Apart. Who wrote that song? I don't know. Someone did. There's so many beautiful things that I think honesty and relationship can bring. And yet, I apologize for texting with my friend, but he's reaching out to me right now, and I need that. And it's funny. He's one of the guys I'm supposed to meet with, but I've been avoiding him, and so. But he's been through so much and amazing stuff that he really, I really love him, my dear friend, and he understands me, and I understand him. So these are the issues I think that men face, that many people face, post-pandemic, pre-pandemic. Pandemic definitely made it worse, to isolate, to be a recluse. My father-in-law, during the pandemic, when I was so afraid for 18 months, 2 years, literally didn't want to leave the house out of just pure panic, would call me a recluse. I'm not usually that way. I wasn't this way, but life, and in Spanish we say golpes, the hits, the rocks that life throws at you, have always it still shocked me. I had never been through stuff, or I had, of course, but it didn't affect me like it has now. It's I remember when my wife dealt with some crazy arm sores, and she's fine, and it all worked out, but I was fine. I didn't have any sense of panic now. Any little thing that happens to our kids, my mom, to Rochelle, to me, of course, it puts me in this horrible place. Fight or flight. And man, I've spent 10,000 hours in therapy and $100,000 and 10,000 hours, probably not before God. That's probably my big problem. I don't spend enough time with God praying, seeking Him. Psychology and counseling and little David, an inner child, can only go so far. Enneagram. I haven't had an experience with God in this area to heal my anxious thoughts in my stomach, where it sits for many of us. I have a couple of Instagram friends, and there's this one lady who was talking about her bathroom issues, and I just laughed because that's just so true. That's just so honest, so real. For like a year, since about June of last year, it's now September, so a year plus, I've been dealing with this stuff again. I don't want to get too TMI, but all that stuff, it just touches my heart, not my literal heart. By the grace of God, I have a healthy heart, but my gut, or I've had all kinds of issues for many years, and it's genetic. My mommy too, blah, blah, blah. And we're all fine. There's nothing wrong with us. There's no crazy stuff, but that's where we feel it. And my point is, instead of us talking about it with friends, because you can't always go to your family, they're burdened, and you have to have other people to really rely on. Instead, we just keep hiding, at least I do, from people that I love and people that could help me. And also part of being a missionary, which means that both Rochelle and I have been raised in many churches, and then our ministry life has been, we go from church to church, not intentionally. I mean, we'd rather be at a place for 20 years, but I don't know. Churches die, churches fall apart. We feel disconnected. They feel disconnected. I'm not sure. Just the pandemic, as I said, all kinds of issues. Then we end up moving on. I was at one place for almost 15 years, and that was glorious. And a lot of it is also, I want to do more than just the same thing over and over again. Both Rochelle and I, even though we want stability financially in the same relationships, but because of how we grew up, we like new things. And that's what we love about each other. And so we just freak out when, no, we don't freak out. When we then don't have those relations. Well, my point is, because we're going from place to place, we can't build relationships, obviously. And as we get older, we then blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so I'm rambling, but my point is that I wish we could just be in deeper community with each other, in deeper relationship with other people. And Rochelle's really good at that. I'm not. I have maybe one or two good friends. My friends, besides my wife and children, my mom, I don't know who they are. I think it's just those one or two friends that I have. And I've always been a homebody. I've never been a big I'm very social, not fake, but genuinely social with people. I enjoy the people that I work with tremendously. And I would probably go very deep with them very quickly. I really enjoy that. It just takes time, and people don't always want that right away, obviously. If they just are barely getting to know you. I have a friend right now, shout out to my brother Vince, very, very honest man, and I can tell him everything pretty much. But when you have a working relationship, you also have to be careful because of all that work stuff. People can use stuff against you. And so it's tough for pastors, I think for most people, to be in relationship with your constituents, with your coworkers. So, and I'm not one to go drink, or I don't have hobbies. My hobbies are this and music and fixing cars, and not fixing cars. Actually, I do love fixing cars. I just wish I could do it all myself. But I enjoy fixing things, cleaning my garage, taking care of my lawn. I enjoy fixing things around the house as much as I know. I'm not a handyman, but I know enough. And I was listening to a podcast, speaking of handyman, that when you don't grow up with a father, all that stuff is missing. And that's one of the things that I grieve so much, that I didn't grow up with my father, who loved to plant, and he loved his car. He was a car guy. I don't think he was a handyman, but he definitely was a car guy. He definitely was a music guy and a pastor, preacher, and leader, and loved my mom and me and my sisters, and very empathic, kind man. I don't know what Enneagram type he was. Maybe a 9. I don't know. Maybe an 8. I'm not sure. But he loved cars. He loved to also plant trees and all kinds of vegetables, and not gardening, but more like tropical trees and mango trees and avocado trees and lemon trees and orange trees, and kind of like not farming, but definitely more than just your typical gardening. He wasn't into flowers. He was more into, as I said, fruit trees. And then he loved his car. Things that I wish I had learned from him. I wish I had learned, and I've learned, but just the hard way on my own and YouTube. And then it kind of leaves me like, what if I should do this? I don't know how to do this. All that stuff. It's tough to grow up that way and to be older and to still have gaps in things like that of what you should do when it comes to cars or things like that. I've learned a lot about a ton of things: ministry, leadership, personality, leadership, a lot about leadership. People, I would say that's probably my number one gift is people. As a minister, you learn to understand, read, and work with people, and to have compassion, to sometimes also distance yourself, or to be careful with people, keep your left up, as my father-in-law would say. Those are all good things that I wish I could pass on. That's why I get on here and hope to have 1,000 people listening to me. But it is what it is. And so I try to share my life with my kids as much as possible and meet with them and then come on here. And I'm not a big TikToker, all that content and editing stuff. It's just, oof. I don't do it for my music, much less for this. So I just wish it would all just go viral and just happen. But I long for real relationships, yeah, to some degree. But I am a creative. I like to hide behind my guitar, the pulpit, a computer, a camera. I enjoy this interaction. And then I enjoy the big group. I'm not really much into... I don't know. I enjoy medium-sized groups, but I think I'm more comfortable in front of a large audience or one-on-one. Although I like small groups too when I'm teaching, but it's uncomfortable for me, really. It's always been. It's that artistic thing, which, as I said, I think I've always thought that I have to hide how artistic I am, because that's not being a true leader, a true man, a true success. When in fact, everybody wishes they were an artist, I guess, right? And I remember when I was in my early 30s, yes, I had maybe older, I don't know. I had a young friend who was also a pastor, and he was a graduate of Fuller. And I was finishing my degree at Fuller, and I just really basically I envied, maybe this is very I envied his life. I thought if I could only be a Fuller graduate, guess what? I finished at another seminary, but I basically finished at Fuller. And so I did what I wanted. But at the time, I thought something was missing. Very 4. I wonder if I'm a 4. Very interesting. And so I wonder if it's my ego who wishes I was a 3. I don't wish I was a 3 fan, but definitely the vanity and the self-deceit, the chameleon is so 3. And the 4 is more envy. I envy. Something missing, yeah, of course. I forget what the hidden motivation of the 4 is. Anyway, I'm definitely 4-3-3-4. Anyway, but my friend who had all these degrees, he went to USC, Fuller, church planter in the cool part of town. I remember we met at this cool coffee shop, and I don't know if I brought my guitar or he just heard me play, and he was saying, "Man, I wish I was you." And I remember telling him, "I wish I was you." And really, literally, I remember thinking, but all I do is play a guitar and sing a few songs. And he thought that was the coolest thing. And if he could just be me. And I thought, if I could just not be me and be you, Well, how sad. Going back to all that father wound, not having a father who could just say to me, "Son, you are an artist. You're an artist." Now, my father did tell me that since I was 5 years old. So, but definitely in my teens and like I said, from 11 on, I didn't have that guidance. And that's when you need it, right? My son, who's 21, needs me to guide him. And imagine at 12, at 14, at 16, you go to college and dating and who am I? What am I good at? I mean, we just spent just this summer, fixing his drums, recording his drums. Imagine if I'm like absent, if I just wasn't there at 20, 21. Where would he get that confidence to say, man, this is who I am. My dad supports me. He's affirming that this is a big part of who I am. That's a beautiful thing. That's what every child, and I'm not the only one who didn't have that. There are so many young men and men my age and kids today, right, who didn't grow up with either a father or with that kind of father. And I did grow up with a father who was very affirming. Like I said, he told me from age 5, as soon as he saw that, telling me that this is it. And guess what I'm doing now? Still to this day, playing a guitar. That's how I make my living and pay my bills. Because my father told me. But going back to that moment with my friend Chris, shout out to Chris Fukunaga. To this day, I still think I should be more. I wish I was a CEO, a successful live streamer, a millionaire, a bigger artist. So always something missing. Envy. Really the sin of envy versus contentment. I've looked at the 4, but sometimes the 4 doesn't fit me. But man, maybe when I am more low and in my feelings more, I relate more to the 4. When I'm in my success and I feel like everything's going great and life is at peace, I'm more in my 3. Succeeding and winning and being. And growing up, I was more I don't know. I was always a 3 and a 4. I had both of those in me. Very creative, always doing music and singing and showboating and being the life of the party, but shy, like most 4s are. Introverted. I'm both. I can be very introverted and very extroverted and social. I love both. And so, but I think that whole honesty thing, right, is very important. Just to be honest, just to be real, just to be that man who can just talk to people and say, hey, here I am. All is well, or it is not well, or it is well right now, but like all my songs, just wait another couple months and I'm going to be down again. I have so many songs that are like, oh, top of the mountain, but just wait. I always am singing to my wife primarily, and to myself, and to God, and to life. Just wait. I'll be down in the gutter again in a few months because the next thing will hit me. And I will feel shame and I will feel embarrassed and I wish I wasn't this way. And I'll disappoint myself and others, and I will not be the man that I wish I was, strong and just stiff upper lip and not feel anything and just be a cowboy, like Yellowstone and Kevin Costner, and just drink and smoke and be still the governor and own 100 acres of land in Montana. I'm just not like that. I'm just not that way. Or be Kanye and be the crazy 4, but a millionaire and a genius and a billionaire. And really, you could say I am that way. I wish I had given in to my inner Kanye way back when I was 13, 15, instead of thinking I had to be more. I got my first real job it wasn't a paying job, but my first real gig at 18, doing music in front of hundreds of people. And then I got my first real paying job when I was 23, like in front of hundreds of people, like a real job, like 50,000 way back then. That was like 100,000 now. I had my first, you could say, 6-figure job when I was 23 years of age, doing what? Playing a guitar and singing at a major church that was thriving. And guess what happened? I doubled the church in size. I wish I had done, and for many, and really, I guess I did double down on music. I have, guess what I'm doing right now? Now, maybe the whole lead pastoring and administrator, all of that was just because, and even some fundraising that I did, which things that I wasn't very good at. It's not me. I wasn't very good at any of those things. I think pastoring I was very good at, and I am a lead pastor. I think I have those gifts. I do. But, and you don't have to have just one gift. You can have more than one thing in your life, right? That's no big deal. But I think that if I was to line up 10 of my friends, including my wife and kids, they would all say, Trig, you're a musician, man. Just shut up and dribble. Play your guitar and inspire us, and we'll pay you money. I wish I was doubling. I wish I was just content. Even to this day, I still feel, back to the fore, that something is missing. If I could only do more. If I was only called more than just a music guy. Imagine John Mayer thinking, if I was just called President Mayer. Imagine if Kanye would be, if I could just be called LeBron West. Of course not. No successful artist, no artist wants to be anything but themselves. Oh, but they're successful and I'm not. Oh, but they have millions of fans and dollars and records deals. I don't. Yeah, I'm a church musician. I'm successful within the church world to this day, at this season of my life, still making a living, paying my bills, playing music for Jesus. What my daddy told me, my papi in heaven, I have a picture of him right here, that what he saw in me when I was 5 years old, and he bought me my first guitar with little baby with bubbles in a bathtub. And I remember that guitar, and I love that guitar. I wish I still had it, like my Huffy 32, right, Mommy? And my skateboard, all by myself, very four. And just feeling and empathing, and like my friends always say, you feel everything, Trig. That's very four, very 3-4. And so accepting myself, accepting who we are is such a beautiful thing, but a very difficult thing. Let me read up. I guess speaking of Enneagram, why not, right? Let's just get into it a little bit. Enneagram 4. Enneagram 4. What is the thing about the fours that is so unique? Like I said, I've looked at this a million times, and I always come back to the 3, not out of ego, trust me, because some people get say, well, that's so 3 of you. You want to be cool and successful. I really would rather not be a 3. I mean, 3s are, wow, what a painful life to be a 3. All of that self-deceit, all of that trying to be what you're not, and all of that fakeness that you don't mean to be, but it's what comes across. So the individualist or the artist, 4s, make this bigger here for you. Sensitive, introspective, expressive, dramatic, self-absorbed, temperamental. I go to a 1 in growth, meaning do the right thing. Be black and white. Like, nope, this is not good. This is good. In stress, go to that 2. Oh, Carrie, man, that is so me. That's funny, man. I'm telling you. Right now, maybe it's just because of where I'm at these days. I feel so like a 4. 4s are self-aware, sensitive, and reserved, emotionally honest. Someone said they whistle in the dark, comfortable whistling in the dark. Creative, personal. Can also be moody, self-conscious. Ooh, my goodness, that's so me. Withholding themselves from others due to feeling vulnerable and defective. Yep, they can also feel disdainful and exempt from ordinary ways of living. Yep. Typically have problems with melancholy, self-indulgence, self-pity. Yep. They're best inspired, creative, and they're able to renew themselves and transform their experiences. That is when I'm at my best. I did a song last Easter, which I loved. I don't know if anybody else did. Well, some people did. It's called Night Falls. So creative. Now, it wasn't my best lyric. I could have worked harder on the lyric. No, that's not true. I love it exactly as it is. I did work hard on the lyrics. But not everyone liked it. Got some complaints. I don't really care. I love, like it says here, just to be inspired and creative. And I can renew myself and transform myself from my experiences. And I love that song. I think it's one of my best songs ever. Night Falls, the meaning behind it. I made a little movie for it that I then didn't show because I was afraid. This is part of being, I think, a four that's been wounded, that I feel like I somehow can be the true me, the true creative. Last week, 2 weeks ago, no, that was just last Sunday. This is a funny story. Speaking of four, there's just one song that is very popular at the church where I'm at, and has been done at Easter, I think, a couple times. And it's kind of like one of those, not a sacred cow, but it was just a very magical, powerful moment. Just the song, the people who did it back then, the whole empty tomb, the whole thing around that song just left an imprint in the church and the leaders. And then we did it when I was there a few months, I don't know, last Easter, yeah, just this Easter. And I didn't sing it because it's a girl song. So I don't know, I thought it was great, but I guess not enough to how it was before. Well, really, I think God just put it on my heart to do this song. It's called Ain't No Grave. So that amazing, powerful song by Brother Claude Eli, amazing song written by a 12-year-old little boy who had tuberculosis and was dying, and yet God healed him. And then it was covered by Johnny Cash, covered by a bunch of amazing blues. I'm not even a country guy at all. I don't even like country at all. And thankfully, this is not country. It's more bluegrass, which I actually like bluegrass, I must say. I don't know if that's... No, they are different. I can't say they're not. They're not the same. Country and bluegrass are not the same. There, I said it. I love bluegrass. I'm going to say it. I love bluegrass. I don't like country. I just can't. I have a banjo. I have an accordion. I used to play with a guy in Denver, Colorado, who had a mandolin. And I loved it. Not country, but I love bluegrass. So, Ain't No Grave is an amazing bluegrass song. In the Appalachian Mountains, 1930s, written by Brother Claude Eli. And then covered by Johnny Cash, of course, country bluegrass, and then covered by many younger people in the last few years, kind of bluegrass worship teams with all the cool, beautiful millennial white people in their 20s who look beautiful and all that kind of mystique of the bluegrass look. These beautiful people, the cinematography, and they sing so awesome. I forget the name of the band, but there's just one band. And then Molly Claggs from Bethel here in Redding, California. Shout out to Bethel. Big fan. Added 2 verses to the song on the request and you could say prophetic prayer of another worship leader there. Molly had been dealing with fear and anxiety. Hey, probably a 4. And wrote these 2 powerful verses. Now, as I've heard the original song, I think she took out some of the original verses. I don't really know the whole story of the verses. The chorus remains the same. Because in her version, which is the popular one, I don't hear the original verses that the blue country millennial bands did perform. Anyway, so I talk forever about the same thing, don't I? That's what makes me a bad preacher. Preaching, you have to be to the point and boom, 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 boom. But I just kind of do this in all of my life. Very creative. And so Bethel does a song. It blows up. 2017, so about 7 years ago. And many churches have covered it, including this church where I'm at. So, but it's always been Molly and girl-led. Well, I lead chapel for the kids. Beautiful Wednesday morning, about 170, almost 200 kids every Wednesday. And God put it on my heart. No reason. I had never thought of that song since Easter. Nothing really happening in my life, nothing really mysterious or deep. Maybe a few things, but nothing out of the ordinary. My mommy hasn't been feeling well, and blah, 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 Rochelle, and a few things, and me. I guess there were some things, but God just put on my heart to do that song. And so I looked up. And now, as an artist, you're like, oh yeah, I know where that goes, and ups and downs of the song. And it's not a very challenging song. It's bluegrass, right? It's just simple. But it had this lure and this aura, right, of being a very, wow, only the select few can sing it type thing. And so I heard the male version. I liked it a lot. Shout out to whoever that millennial bearded guy with flannel, cool guy is. I don't know his name. I liked his version. I like how he delivered it. And the key, of course, was a male key. And so it gave me kind of a path, right? It's in C minor. I think the Molly one is in E flat. So it's about a third down. Anyway, it's in the male key. Baritone slash, yeah, tenor, low tenor, baritone. I'm a baritone with some tenor chops. Shout out to my father. So I sung the song last week. Well, I sung it during chapel, and it's little kids, and the song is pretty deep, but I could tell it hit. And then I thought, we'll do it on Sunday. I worked on it. Never really on my own. I mean, I just did it at chapel and practiced maybe a couple times. Again, it's a simple song. And then I worked on it vocally, sure. Just little things like, okay, where does it go up, and the power of the song, and you want to deliver it, obviously, right? And then I did a rehearsal last Sunday and then delivered it, and it slayed. It killed. I killed it, people say. In my estimation, it was a no-brainer. It wasn't that hard. It was simple. It was easy. It's bluegrass. It's Johnny Cash. I mean, it's not hard. But something about the range where I sang it and the power of the song, and of course the Holy Spirit, it delivered, it communicated. And so it's funny because there were some people that told me that they were going to call me the night before and say, hey, don't do it, because you might not be able to handle it. You might lay an egg. That would have hurt me, because I would have thought, what are you talking about? So thankfully, I didn't hear anything prior, and instead, all I heard were just great comments, which as an artist and as a four, it doesn't really affect me too much. Now, if it was something that like the song that I wrote, back to originality, right? Then, man, if you don't see my originality, then what's wrong with you? But if you see me doing a pop song that everyone loves, doing it well, like the record, then come on now. Very four, isn't it? So basic fear that they have no identity or personal significance. Wow. Basic desire to find themselves in their significance, create an identity. Yeah. And again, forward the three-winged aristocrat. That's probably me, because I get very like, I'm in charge. I'm the boss. Key motivations want to express themselves, bohemian. I'm not that Kanye or Tyler the Creator or Billie Eilish. I'm not a bohemian. I don't go to the five. I don't have that mysterious, like I'm misunderstood. I become more the aristocrat, thinking that I am special and I should make lots of money, or I should be honored and known. Key motivations want to express themselves. You know why? Another reason why I don't like being a force is a lot of crazy people are a force, and I'm like, I'm not that crazy, but man, maybe sure, not to that degree, but definitely in the ballpark. Want to express themselves in their individuality, to create and surround themselves with beauty, maintain certain moods and feelings, mostly positive and negative, and sadness, to withdraw to protect self-image. Yep. Take care of emotional needs before attending to anything. Wow. To attract a rescuer. My baby. My rescuer. Wow. I'm a four, man, aren't I? When moving in direction of disintegration, starts as a aloof force, I become over-involved in clinging at two. Clinging, yeah. I become so self-absorbed. Over-involved in clinging at two. Yeah, I think over-involved means I'm serving other people. You know, that's really what that means. The two, the unhealthy two, is helping everyone just to be accepted and loved. And I do that. It's so true. I'm doing that these days. My trueness is be creative, be me, not help. It's just not who I am. I want to be a star, and in that stardom, change the world through my and our collective stardom. Uniqueness. However, when moving in the direction of integration, envious, emotionally turbulent force become more objective and principled like healthy ones. Wow. Objective and principled. Wow. Objective and principled. Objective. Yeah. I definitely need to be more objective and principled. Like, no, this is wrong. This is right. Don't do that. It's not the right thing. I'm at my best when I'm at the one. We have named this individually because force maintain their identity by seeing themselves as fundamentally different. Yeah. Force feel that they're unlike other human beings, consequently, and no one can understand them or love them adequately. So it's uniquely talented, just uniquely disadvantaged or flawed. Yeah. Force are acutely aware of and focus on their personal differences and deficiencies. Honest with themselves, they own all their feelings and can look at their motives and directions and emotional conflicts without denying or whitewashing them. They may necessarily like what they discover, but they do not try to rationalize their states, nor do they try to hide them from themselves or others. Not afraid to see themselves warts and all. That's when I'm at my best, and I do that. Healthy fours are willing to reveal highly personal, potentially shameful things about themselves. Yeah, because they don't understand the truth. Yes. Discover who they are. Yep. So true. All this stuff. This ability also to endure suffering with a quiet strength. Yeah. Their own darker nature makes it easier for them to process painful experiences that might overwhelm. Yeah. Well, I often feel overwhelmed, but fours are often report that they feel are missing something in themselves. Well, they may identify what that is. Is it willpower? Yes. Social ease? Yes. Self-confidence, emotions? Yeah. Yep, seemingly enough. Yep, given the insufficient person, fortunately recognize that they are unsure about aspects of their self-image. Yep, they feel that they lack a clear and stable. Oops, what happened there? Oh, that's too big. Okay, but underneath, no, let's see here. In course, relies from is, where am I? Forward. Yeah, social ease. Given time and sufficient perspective, fortunately recognize that they are unsure about assets. Yeah. If they feel that they lack a clear and stable identity, particularly a social persona, that they feel that they lack a clear and stable identity. Yeah, right. Particularly, so, well, it is true that force often feel different from others. They do not really want to be alone. So true. I hate being alone. They feel socially awkward, but they deeply wish to connect with people, understand them and their feelings. Yeah, the romantics, me, of the Enneagram, they long for someone to come into their lives and appreciate the secret self. My baby, my wife is that person. Yeah, my wife, my friend, Matt. Shout out to Matt. Validation remains out of reach if over time forces begin to build their identity around how unlike everyone else they are. No, I haven't done that. The outsider therefore comforts herself, the outsider, by becoming an assistant individual. Everything must be done in her own way. No, I've changed that a lot. Force mantra becomes I am myself. Sure, nobody understands me. Yeah, I'm different and special. Well, they really wish they could enjoy the easiness. Yeah, that's very true. I wish I was my wife. I wish I was all those people that just seem to not have feelings as deeply as me. Force typically have aroused negative self-image. Yep. Chronically. Yep. Guys say they're going to fantasy self. Yeah. Idealized self-image is built up apparently in their image. Yeah. Four, we know, shared with us, spent most of his spare time with Madison, but being a great, yeah. For me, it's like being a great beat maker or a great, producer, unfortunately, or preacher, or a rich man, or CEO, or leader, top dog. Unfortunately, it's going to his commitment to practicing, yeah. Fell far short of his fantasy, yeah, and he is often embarrassed when people ask him to play for them. His actual abilities, well, not poor. So it's a shame. That's not true. I worked on my abilities, and everything that I do, I'm pretty good at. In the course of their lives, first may try several different identities on for size, basing them on. It's very true. Rap and a spiritual formation guy and top dog and CEO and lifting weights. Yeah, all kinds of identities and images. Rather qualities find attractive, but they find attractive in others. Yeah, but underneath the surface, they still feel uncertain about who they really are very much. Problem is that they base their identity, and that's the whole father wound. Problem is that they base their identity largely on their feelings. Yep, when forwards look inward, they see a kaleidoscope, ever shifting pattern emotion. Yep, indeed. Forwards can perceive a truth about human nature that is dynamic and unchanging. But because they want to create a stable, indeed, force accurately perceive a truth. It is dynamic and ever changing, right? But because they want to create a stable, reliable identity, Tend to cultivate only certain feelings, which some feelings are seen as me, while others are not me. Tend to hold on to specific moods and express others force believe that they are being true to themselves. Biggest challenge is force failure to let go of feelings from the past. Ooh. Man, do I do that. I live in the past all the time. I think fours are past oriented, which is me. I'm so past oriented. I've become such a 4. Maybe I was a 3 and I've become a 4. I'm now become such a 3-4. Oh, Daisy. Oh, my father. Oh, my home. Oh, Nicaragua. Oh, mom and dad. Oh, Daisy. Oh, Daisy. Oh, Snowy. Oh. Forcing become so attached to longing and disappointment that they are unable to recognize the many treasures in their lives. Lee is working my bell. Yeah. There's a Sufi story that relates to this about an old dog that had been badly abused and was near starvation. One day the dog found a bone, carried it to his spot and started gnawing away. The dog was so hungry. Chewed on the bone for a long time and got every last bit of nourishment that it could out of it. After some time, a kind old man noticed the dog in his pathetic scrap began quietly studying food for her. Poor Hannah so attached to his bone refused and soon starved to death. Both in the same predicament. As long as they believe that there is something fundamentally wrong with them, they cannot allow themselves to experience or enjoy their many good qualities. To acknowledge her good qualities would be to lose her sense of identity as a suffering victim. Yeah. I definitely see myself as a victim versus victorious, and to be without a relatively consistent personal identity. First, by learning to see that much of the story is not true, or at least it's not true anymore. The old feelings begin to fall away once they stop telling themselves their old tale. It is irrelevant to who they are right now. So here's where I want to be. Healthy levels. At their best, that's who I want to be at this age. Profoundly creative, expressing the personal and universal, possibly in a work of art, or music for me, or beat making, or producing, or singing, or writing songs. Inspired, self-renewing, and regenerating. Inspired, self-renewing, and regenerating. Inspired, self-renewing. Wow. How do I self-renew? Doing this, podcasting, writing beats, playing my songs, hanging out with my friends, crying, weeping, feeling, writing, regenerating, able to transform. I had a friend who would always tell me, Trig, you're an amazing writer. I stopped writing years ago with all this video craziness. Nobody reads. I love to write. What a loss this whole social media junk has become for us, a force. Yeah, what a mess. Able to transform all their experiences into something valuable, self-creative. Wow. Able to, I do that self-aware perspective on the search for self, aware of feelings, the inner impulse, sensitive, intuitive, both. Yeah. Gentle, yeah. Highly personal, realistic, true to self, self-revealing, emotionally honest, humane, erratic view of self and life. Mysterious, yeah. Yep, that's me, man. Unhealthy. When dreams fail, become self-inhibiting, angry, self-depressed, and determined by illusional self-contempt. Despairing, feel hopeless, becomes a direct possibility, just get extreme emotional breakdown. No. Never been at that level. Response to the avoidant depressive narcissist personality. Yeah, right. I can be those things, but thankfully, I would say I'm very close to one. I would say 80-90% of the time, or to these 3 levels. Not always at my best, but definitely in this top level. I think I'm there 80%, 90% of the time. And there's more, because if I was more me, what would I do? I would write my songs. I would perform my songs. I would focus more on my songs and my creativity. I have so many songs right now. I don't share them with people. I rehearse them once. You know that all the songs that I've written, like hundreds, there's only one that two. Well, let's say in the last 30 years, only one time have I performed my songs with other people, except just me in my studio. Or publish them online, which no one hears and nobody cares. I'm not famous. Until 2 months ago, I did another song. Guess what? It was just a rehearsal. Everyone in the band loved it. I didn't perform it, and I probably never will, because I don't know. I have this unhealthiness where I go to the 2. Oh, I'll just do whatever. And I just lose sight of being a true creative and just being, hey, this is my song. Or, oh, last time I didn't like it. Who cares? Try another song. Or do that one differently. Or explain this, or do it again, or try it differently. Who cares? That's the real me. It's the 1 and 2. Be principled. Right? What is it said? I love that part. Be principled. I'm reading my brother's.